Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and a few weeks ago I was on my e-bike and I found a place where I usually ride my bike through a housing development. I found a place where I could turn off on the other side of the construction we're looking at right here and get some close-ups of everything that's going on, and not have to fly up 400 feet so I could not lose my signal. And that just happened to be, we probably have him in the flying video when I get around to flying. But so anyway, so on this particular day, which was just a day or so ago, I got out and was riding over there, and you can see what they're doing to the side of the road. That's going to be, eventually, it's going to be nice for me because I don't have to ride my bike out where the cars go along and and zip by you. Anyway, if you've been following my channel, you might remember I did this same route just to see if I could get onto the field here, and I went on down that little strip there and filmed the earth mover coming around, but I can't remember which video it was. I didn't take time to look it up. So anyway, here we are, and we're going to take off. And the reason I wanted to be able to film from here is because I don't have to get up real high because there's no Wi-Fi interference across this field. And so I can stay low, and you can see some of the terrain. In fact, that little rise there that we're looking at, and by the way, I'm experimenting. I'm up high, and then I'm going to drop down low. And when I was filming that first time, I filmed the earth mover coming down off of there, or going up there and then coming down off of there. So that represents hundreds of trips of earth movers carrying dirt from somewhere on the field out to back to this spot. And of course, down below us is still a hay field, but I'm not sure if they're going to develop it or what's going to happen there next. So anyway, we'll just make our flight, and as we come down here, and at the end of this little rise, this little up place that comes up a bit, straight on down to the left from there, you'll see some depressions in the ground, and so some of this dirt probably came from some of those. In fact, there are several places because that's what they use for flood control, like during the monsoon season. And so they make these depressions, and then they make a park out of it with kiddie toys and monkey bars and things like that. And then the kids can use it. And then anyway, when the monsoon season comes, then that fills up with water, and nobody wants to go in there. So anyway, as you can see up straight ahead of us there, almost in the center of the screen, there's a depression. All right, so anyway, I wanted to also tell a story while we're flying along here. And I'll try to remember to point out some things on the ground as we fly. Sometimes I get involved in my storytelling and forget to mention things. So, as you can see, there's a depression over by the road, and there's one nearby, and then there's others. There's some water in one way up there ahead of us as we're going along. So anyway, I started with 1 Samuel in the last story I told, and you can see there's a earth mover, and he's backing up right now. He just scraped a little bit right there, and if you'll notice on the back of his rig, there's a pole with a little white dot on the top of it, and that little white dot, that is a GPS unit, and as you can see, he's scraping the dirt and then backing up and scraping it again, and he can use that to make sure that street is level all the way across. And so that's apparently what he's up to today. Well, anyway, and so I started 1 Samuel, and there's several stories from the beginning the first time when I talked about how Samuel became a prophet and a priest. Well, anyway, when you get to chapter 17, you find the story of David and Goliath. Everybody likes that story. So we're going to talk about that story. It's just one chapter long. Excuse me. And the whole story is contained in one long chapter, I guess you could say. So let's talk about David. His dad's name was Jesse, and and Jesse's a good Bible name if you're looking for a name for your children. And you can see he's going to scrape some more as he goes along right there. He goes there, and it looks a little high, so he's going to scrape. Anyway, so like Jesse James may have had the outlaw from the old days. He may have had a Christian mom who knew her Bible and wanted to give her son a good Christian name. So David's dad was Jesse, and there were 8 boys, and David was the youngest. And so you got to think about this now, because David might have been a little spoiled, which meant that his brothers probably picked on him, if you know what I'm talking about, if you know anything about raising boys and family and stuff. And so they probably picked on him. In fact, in the story in the Bible, there's one spot there where his oldest brother is mocking him, but we'll get to that later. So anyway, David, because he was the youngest, his job was to. By the way, you notice this ditch they're digging is tapered on each side. If they don't taper it, then they have to put metal guards along the side of it so it won't cave in on guys and kill them. And that's very loose dirt, if you notice. So anyway, so David was the youngest, and the youngest had all the jobs that nobody else wanted. And so that one of them was watching the sheep. His dad had a herd of sheep, and so he every day he went out and he watched the sheep out in the side of the hill or whatever, and that probably got very boring. And so if he had a sling, and by the way, a sling, if you go to YouTube, you can look up sling contests, and you'll see where they have contests of guys who still use a sling and put a rock in it. And I made a sling when I was teaching this to my primary age kids, and it really throws a rock hard. I threw one in the gymnasium where I was teaching, and I think I could have gotten in trouble because I think I nicked the wall. Anyway, so it's very powerful. So what David did was he was sitting there, and he was bored, and so he thought, I wonder if I can hit that tree over there with a rock. And so he threw it, and he missed, and he threw it, and he missed, and he throws it, and he misses. And finally, he hits it once. Oh, by the way, now we're headed back across really fast. If you look at the tractor at the top of the screen, I'm standing over there near that, and I hear him coming. I thought, I got to get a video of him. So now we're headed back real quick so I can get a video of him. So David, he finally got to where he could hit the tree every time. And then he thought, I wonder if I can just hit that limb sticking out the side. And so he throws it and throws it and throws it and throws it and misses all the time. Finally, he hits that limb. So then he practices, and hits the limb every single time. Then he decides, okay, now there's a big old leaf hanging there. I'm going to see if I can hit that leaf. And by the way, this didn't all happen in one day. This is just my idea. I don't know. When I get to heaven, God's going to say, you are a nut. But anyway, so he practices on that leaf, and sure enough, he finally hits it. And then he says, oh, there's another leaf. So he practices on it. He gets so whatever leaf he plans to hit, he hits it. Now, this is where the guy's coming back, and I finally was able to get a shot of him close up. I'm only about 100 feet up. See, if I was flying from my house, I'd have to be over 200 feet. So that gives us a little more close-up picture. I'll probably be filming, if you don't like construction, I'm sorry, there's not much going on here in Arizona on this lake bed. But so anyway, it turns out that in my story that David got to whatever he wanted to hit with his sling, and it was a deadly tool because you throw a rock with a sling, it's going to kill somebody. I'm not kidding you. So anyway, so that's as far as we got through the story, but it's just my interpretation of why I think maybe, I like to tie physical things together with spiritual. I think maybe David got really good with his sling, which is why he wasn't so afraid. Well, as I come into land, I want to thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes. Thanks for watching, and God bless.